Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone, wherever you are. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I am indeed having a wonderful day. As you can see, I'm dressed in my black and gold because gold is the color of brightness, the sun. So I feel like the sun is in my space, and I want to share that beautiful space with you. How is everybody doing today? Whoever you are, wherever you are, some of you are watching on Facebook, some of you are watching on Twitter. Welcome, welcome. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you today. I have a very special show for you today. You are going to be so excited. Now, let me just kind of for some of you who are here to see Maximilian Dutton. He was the one scheduled for the episode today. I was supposed to interview him, but he contacted us very early to let us know that he is unfortunately not going to be here because he had a family emergency. He's a motivational speaker, and quite frankly, I would have loved to have him today. Perhaps we can organize it another time. But today, I want you to know that I have a special guest for you today. See, what excites me about this program is that I have the opportunity to bring to you, my viewing audience, some fascinating people. Today, we will not disappoint because guess what? I have a world-renowned psychic who's going to share with us what it means to be a psychic. What does it mean to be a psychic? Now, some people believe in the psychic powers, some don't. Some scientists are skeptical, but those who have experienced the psychic phenomenon beg to differ. My father, I must share this with you. My father was very amazing. You know, he used to do amazing things. I mean, he used to show his psychic abilities by predicting things that would happen before they do happen. And I tell you one thing, when my dad told you not to travel somewhere, you don't travel, because he would tell you exactly what's going to happen. One gentleman, unfortunately, didn't believe him and took a trip to Lagos, Nigeria, after he was advised not to do so. My dad, as a matter of fact, told him exactly what was going to happen, but he didn't listen, so he took this trip, and unfortunately, he was killed on the road, and it happened exactly as my dad had predicted, had told him. Then my aunt Lucy, who lives in Enugu right now, she's quite elderly. She's in her 90s now, but she had the same abilities. And I remember my male cousin was advised by her not to get on a motorcycle. Now, my cousin didn't have a motorcycle, but my auntie told him, don't get on a motorcycle today. Don't do it. She cried, she pleaded. And, stubbornly, he said, or dismissively rather, he said, don't worry about it. I mean, I don't have a motorcycle. I have no need to be on a motorcycle. Well, unfortunately, a friend of his came with a motorcycle and not paying attention to his aunt, to his mom, when my aunt was sleeping. He got on this motorcycle. When he went around the corner, he was unfortunately killed exactly as she had predicted. Now, I'm not saying that's all the psychic people with psychic powers do, predict such things. There are other things that they do, but some of us have the sixth sense more so than others. Someday, hopefully, humanity will remember that we all have psychic. We're all psychic to a degree. Why was our belief in our sixth sense squashed? By whom and why? These are questions for all of us to answer. These are questions for all of us to ask. Let's relate psychic, for instance, to the ability to music. Okay, for music. Some people know how to play music. Some people know how to sing. Well, some people more so than others. Some of us are a whole lot better at singing than others. The ability to feel and listen, to have a good ear, is what makes a great musician or a singer. And the ability to feel and listen to our inner voice is what makes a great psychic. Today, I introduce you to a world-renowned psychic. I'm so impressed with this woman. She's a medium and remote viewer, Miss Mary Lawton Johnson. But before I do so, I would like to show you a video that introduces to you who she is. This is a phenomenal woman. You are going to enjoy meeting her, and she's going to share everything that you need to know about being a psychic. But let me share this video with you for a moment, and then we'll take it from there.
My name's Mary. You remember me? Did you hang any slaves? Are you proud of that?
She walks among tombstones and you can see them following her. She goes into a haunted location and they appear before her. She has them living in her hair and you can see them. Her name is Mary, and she offers you a journey to the other side.
A couple of years ago, I got asked to come here. So when I said yes, spirits started coming to me. So I'm here to basically tell the owners what's here, what's happening, and is it good or bad, and see if I can't fix it.
Mary Beth Johnson was born with a gift to communicate with the dead. But she has one talent no other medium in the world can claim. The ability to regularly capture paranormal activity on camera.
The past two mornings I've been seeing these orbs. One's really, really big and one's small. These orbs manifested into a woman and a child. They just came together.
Mary captures pictures of ghosts in all environments, including broad daylight. But her gifts extend beyond that. She has proven the existence of sprites, miniature spirits that like to hang on her shoulders and live in her hair. Serving as a light for the deceased, she has captured images of spirit portals to the other side. She even captures animal spirits of dogs and cats, and the voices of ghosts with a sense of humor.
Would you like to hear some music? It's pretty modern.
Mary travels the world with the other two members of Otherside Paranormal, Lisa Albert and Joe DeSantis. Joe handles all the technical equipment, and Lisa is a sensitive/psychic who provides historical research. Unlike many teams, Otherside Paranormal doesn't hunt ghosts. Rather, spirits approach Mary everywhere she goes.
Is the young girl who cried out for her mama here? Can I help you to go be with your mama? She said yes. I want us to do a prayer circle for her, okay? I want us to pray for the little girl so that she can cross over into God's white light. Were you hung from these limbs?
If it were known that a person could show full-blown ghosts in the daytime by the hundreds, don't you think it would turn the world upside down? Rewrite what we know about life after death? Mary the Medium does it everywhere she goes.
Myself and my team, Lisa and Joe, were up here investigating a haunted plantation. I was in Pebble Beach, and I had a man dressed in a colonial outfit come walk across my threshold. Not only do spirits come to me before I go to a place, then once I get there, I get them on audio and film.
Mary Beth was born with a gift and is from a family of gifted, having been born under the sign of Gemini as an identical twin. Her twin sister Amy shared this gift and passed it on to her children Julia and Cristiano. Amy passed away in 2002, but still communicates with her family from beyond.
I was flipping through the photos and I held my finger on it too long, and she actually spoke in this photo. And that's her voice. And she's gasping for breath, and she said, "Miss me."
I'm in Rome, Italy. I'm in Prima Porta Cemiterio. And I'm here with my twin sister where she's interred. I never knew her plot number. You know, I go by GPS to get to the cemetery, but this thing is massive. But so anyway, Amy gave me directions.
Mary has proven the existence of life after death, including pictures of her own sister sitting with her in the cemetery. She's captured imagery of both our side and the other side. Now the only medium in the world who can capture ghosts on camera has come out of hiding, and she is prepared to share her extraordinary gifts with the world. But is the world ready for Mary?
Mary is a fascinating guest, and I'm looking so forward to interviewing her. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Mary Johnson. How are you this morning?
Thank you so much.
That was a fascinating video.
It's true. Everything you heard in that video is actual spirits of people that have passed on. Even the man hanging in the tree, his name was Leifa Garrett. And what you can't see because it's such a short video, that was on a rice plantation in South Carolina. Is you could actually see his face and others. And I'm like, I was out during the daytime and I spotted him. And so I went back out at night. We thought maybe it might have a bigger effect at night to see what would happen. And so anyway, I'm like, what are you guys still doing here? Why are you still here? And they're like, well, our family is out in those fields. We're not leaving. I'm like, guy, slavery has been over with for over 300 years. You need to go to God. And so, I tried my best with most of them. Most of them crossed, but a lot of them are still there, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. So tell me, let's just take this back a little bit. Tell me when did you notice that you have this special gift to see, and communicate with the dead? How did it start? What ignited it, so to speak?
I was 5 years of age. Basically, is when I first noticed, why are all these people in my room? And my identical twin sister, Amy, also had a gift. As a matter of fact, I thought her gift was bigger than mine. So at night, I would cover myself up with every stuffed toy, every pillow I could find. I basically built a fort around myself.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, why are all these people in my room? And I always had to sleep with a light on because I thought it would make them go away. Well, it didn't, you know. So I built a fort. Amy and I would hide in the fort, and they would stand around my bed. And I didn't understand. I was 5 years of age, maybe four, you know. That's the earliest I can date it.
Okay, and it continued as you got older. Did it get it? Did it get? Did you start seeing more and more?
Oh, yeah, I did. My gift first started off, Dr. O, as a psychic. I would know things before they happened. Like I would know I'm going to die. Like, I'd tell mom and dad and they would be like, so they sent me to a shrink because they thought I was a weird child. I had problems. I'm like, no. And so I grew up in the deep, deep South where if you talked about a Bible Belt, honey, Bible Belt, I mean, like they would throw it in your face. And so if you talked about having a gift of any sort, they would send you to the mental institution. Okay. I mean, seriously. And my dad was the town doctor.
Mm.
Everybody is, I kept this thing hidden for most of my adult life. I mean, if you tell somebody I picture and there's a dead guy standing there, they're going to be like, "Yeah, right, lady. You've lost your marbles upstairs."
Mhm. Mm.
Yeah.
So people usually, of course, people usually doubt something they don't understand. There's so much in our world that we don't know. And
Right.
then it kind of shakes our foundations a little bit when somebody comes and tells you something, that sometimes science says that it doesn't exist, because we are so trusting of science, and certainly we should be, but there are just certain things that science don't even know. But let me ask you that there have been instances when people with your skill sets have been helpful to investigations, murder investigations. Have you ever been a part of such a thing?
I have. But usually it's the family who reaches out to me because the police either have botched it, can't do their job, don't know how to do their job, or just don't have evidence. And so usually it's been the families that reach out to me. Because of recent, I solved a missing persons case over in England. And remotely, I solved it. I told them where his body was. And had the Kent police listened to me, they would have found his body months sooner and maybe been able to preserve forensic evidence. So now police are now listening to me. Unfortunately, you think they would have in the beginning. There's a law in London, in England, actually, that says if you've exhausted all means, it's perfectly legal, and we encourage you to seek the help of a medium, not a reader, but a medium, and in order to get evidence. And so I saw it as soon as I think somebody sent it to me, and then the mother contacted me, and I was totally blown away. I was driving my cat to my vet. Okay. Just connected with the mother in England. And I'm driving in a small little town in Florida doing 30 miles an hour. And I looked up and there he is hanging from a sign in broad daylight. And I thought, good God, he's in Florida and he didn't tell anybody. And then and our eyes locked. When I say our eyes locked, he didn't have to say anything, but I saw in his eyes that he was not happy. And our eyes locked. I'm doing 30 miles an hour and I'm looking at him and I look in my rear view mirror, okay? And he's gone. Poof. And I knew it was Alex Holland. I knew it was him. And of course, I get online with his mother and I had to tell her, I just saw your son in Florida. Now, how crazy does that sound? But then all of a sudden, all this information started flooding in, and I told her where he was. I circled it on a map, okay? And I've never been there before, ever, not to this particular part of England. I circled this area on a map. I sent it to her. I sent it to the police.
So now, this lady, how did she get in touch with you? How did she know? Was it because you've been in the tabloids and you have been written up, or there's been a lot of information about you in the news media? How did she get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And so, I mean, people reach out to me in those areas. It was actually through a mutual friend of the family who suggested she contact me. And bam, as soon as she did, there he was. And he showed me everything. How 3 people murdered him, plotted to murder him. His name was Alex Holland. They lured him away from his home at night. As a matter of fact, he told his parents, wake me up in the morning, I have to go to work. But they lured him away, okay? And they killed him, they wrapped him, and so that, to contain the body, the fluids and everything. And then they drove him later on to this location about a mile and a half away where after they had killed him, and they dumped his body face down in the water like I saw. Now, police thought it was a suicide. It wasn't. Tell me how a man wearing only one shoe, the dead of winter, dressed in nighttime clothes, decides to go walkabout for 1.5 miles and not have marks on the bottom of his feet or on his body in the middle of the night without a phone, without anything. Tell me how. I'm sorry, no marks on the bottom of his feet, and one shoe was left at the location of where his car was, and the other shoe was on his body 1.5 miles down the road in the water in the marsh. He was, and I described the murderers. I saw the murderers. I described them to the police, and then I was shown photos, and I picked them out. So now they're having to put the pieces together in order to indict these people.
Wow. Wow, that is fascinating. Now, there was a New York City murder that you solved. Talk about that for a moment.
Um, a It was actually through my television producer. It was through a friend of hers, and we decided to film in New York. And it was only just a few of us, and it was for a reel, for an upcoming reel.
Mhm.
He has since become a friend of mine, but I'm like, wait a minute. And I did a reading on him, and his father was murdered, but it went unsolved. So and this was during the reading, I saw that his father was murdered. And his mother was in the reading with him, and as well as Enzo. It's Enzo LaRocca. He was a former NYPD police detective. Now he's a motivational speaker. And
Mhm.
his father was murdered. So we traveled to New York. And I'm telling you, I know nothing about other than one place to shop, and that's it, Macy's. And I don't even know what it is. I know nothing about New York other just flying in. And Spirit took me from his apartment complex, okay, from where his last moments were, all the way down to the river, the East River. And he showed me images of, of a bridge and the water and a mound of gravel. We found them. We found it.
Mm.
And I got down there and I got Spirit on video talking, saying, are they really walking on my grave? And it was Enzo's dad. And it was a mob hit by the mafia. And I solved it because I saw what happened. I got on video. It was a Sunday morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning. I got gunshots. The back, the backflash from a gunshot on my phone, and no guns had gone off. It's only when I replayed the video could you hear what happened to Enzo. They shot him.
Hmm.
And yeah, Enzo's father, the one that was murdered, told us where to drive in the car down to the location where he showed me remotely, and we found it. And that's where he was. He was put in the East River.
Wow. Okay, now you have another case. This is fascinating. So now you're working with the police and they're helping you because now, and you're helping them actually,
Yeah.
because now you have another case. Paul Conti, is that Conti?
Paul Conti, I believe, and I've been on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, saying that London, England, has a serial killer on the loose. Okay,
Mm.
take me seriously, because they eventually, if they have not already, will pull more than 37 bodies out of the River Thames.
Mm.
Guy hung around the River Thames. And I described him, what he looks like, and I was shown a picture, and I'm like, that's him. Now, I suspect they have him in custody. The
Mhm.
problem, can't get any information out of the Metro Police there in London. But Paul Conti was a young kid, that was jumped on his way home after partying, and I believe was stabbed in the neck and thrown in the River Thames. What just surfaced was another video of a young girl who was found in the River Thames being chased by, I believe, to be the serial killer. Paul's mother is Sarah Conti. She's on Facebook, Justice for Polly, and Polly's memorial page. Beautiful kid. He was a martial arts instructor, and you would think that he could have defended himself. Well, this serial killer hangs out in the shadows where there's no closed circuit television. He knows every location along the River Thames where there's not closed circuit television present. And that's where he jumps his victims. And they found, and he hangs around Hammersmith, Fulham area. So, and there are a lot of celebrities that live there. So, I mean, they're pulling bodies out left and right. This guy, this guy is super dangerous. And I think he dresses as a woman at night to ask for help, or he appears as an old woman, okay, and basically jumps them. And he also jumps people who have been partying, who are out alone, who are in their 20s, 30s. He goes for the young people. But when the heat was getting on him too much, he went inland. He went away from the River Thames. He went inland. And they just caught who I believe is the serial killer named Collier. I believe he is the serial killer.
Well, did they consult you about that when you
They're
say you believe so? But
very silent. The police in England are very silent because they don't want the same, I guess, media attention that Kent police got because Kent police didn't follow up on a tip. And I get that. Well, they get crazies that say, oh, I saw this, I saw that. But I am adamant that a spirit or a spirit has shown me this, and I send you a map with a direct location. I can give you details that only a police officer would know. You think they would take me seriously, and the family is begging them. You think they would take us seriously. Now, there's a case I'm working on right now, and the are very receptive, and that's in Myrtle Beach.
is that Heather Elvis?
That is Heather Elvis.
Tell me about her. What happened to her?
I was riding in my car driving home, and my birth mother, Dorothy, she's like, I wish they would solve this case, this missing girl. I didn't even know her name, Dr. O. And I said, she's in the marsh because spirit, bam, came to me just like Alex, Paul, and all the others. Came to me, showed me everything. She showed me the number 15. She showed me tidelands. She showed me what looked to be like a giant sea, but it was a curve in a river, okay? A big curve in a river. And then she showed me the word sea, like SEA. And so I'm like, what does all this mean? So I got on a map and I started looking. Dot's telling me she's out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I said, well, what does 15 mean? So Dot, my mother, my birth mother, psychically, she's a psychic, okay? She doesn't want to admit it, but she said, well, let's look at mileage. 15 miles south is Murrells Inlet, where she was last seen. I prefer not to know anything about a case before I show the police what I have. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know what the person looks like. I don't want to know the history. I don't want to know anything. So I told Dot all of this information that Heather's spirit showed me. Okay, and then I got in touch with the detective who's working the case, and we mapped it out, and it came out to 14.8 miles, okay, where the last place where she went missing. And I said, where's that big sea in the river? Turns out it was the Waccamaw River. And I looked at the river and I said, this is where she is. And I circled it, adamant about it. This is where she is. And I circled it. And wouldn't you know it, the suspected killers who are in jail, their house is in that circle. And I had no clue who they were, where they lived, what they did. But that circle encompasses 15 miles from where she lived to where she died and where she is. She is in that Waccamaw River, okay? And it's in that C curve in a larger body of water off to the right.
Mm.
Oh, that's where she is.
Well, you've identified where she is, and has the police looked into that? Have they gone in there to check? I mean, have they tried to dredge it?
The solicitor told my PR rep, Brooke, with Black Orchid PR, woo, free ad. Uh, Look, we're going to get cadaver dogs, and we are going to not only cadaver dogs, but they have to also get recovery divers. Now, mind you, the killers, what I saw was they put her body in a burlap sack. What a better way to disguise her as a bag of oysters. They killed her pre-landing, took her in a small John boat up
Mm.
up the Waccamaw River to where it opens up past the big giant U curve into an open body of water where they dumped her in the water. Okay. So she's in a burlap sack, or what remains of her. Now, the burlap sack has since eroded. So if they can find one or two bones with a recovery diver, she was weighted down with an anchor.
Hmm.
It wasn't a strong anchor. They didn't think about that, okay? Because after 7 days of being in the water, your body is going to surface, and hers did, okay? And the anchor came loose. It was only like a 7 pound anchor. You can't weigh down a human body with 7 pounds. I'm sorry. So, and her body has since drifted. And so they need to walk that marsh, and they will find bits and pieces. I'm sorry to say for the family,
Mm.
because this was so unfair for what happened to her and her family, just like Paul Conti's and Alex Holland's. They need justice. It is not right for another human to take the life of another human. And
Yes.
I to ensure these families get justice.
Well, that's a remarkable work that you're doing, and you know, you watch some of those programs on television, you know, and you're glued to the set to see how a medium can actually, you know, help solve some of these problems. Now, let me ask you, you know, to be able to be a medium to see spirits and what have you. Have you ever run across some dark spirits, you know, that meant you any harm, or have they always been jovial sort of things? Well, tell me about that.
Okay, so I did this other case up in Connecticut. It was actually, it goes all the way back to the 60s. Okay, these missing young girls, and it was Connecticut, Maine, and New York, or I can't remember, but my main focus was in Connecticut. And so I was asked to go there by Matthew Phelps, who is on this big radio show, and he's a crime mystery writer, and the family of one of the missing victims. She found me on Instagram and asked me to come up, and I said, sure, I'd love to. So I went up one morning. Matthew picked me up, and I went up, and oh, what happened? Are you there? Oh, I don't know what I did. Are you still there?
Oh,
Okay.
I am. I just want them to see you speak. Yeah, I just remove myself so you'll be the focus. Go right ahead.
So they picked me up, and I'm walking the grounds, and I'm like, there's more than four girls here, okay? There's more like 30, 18 to 30. And he goes, yes, you're right. Matthew said, yes, you're right. And it's ongoing, this investigation, because the serial killer is still alive. And yes, I know who he is. And so anyway, um, so I took pictures, Dr. O, and when I take pictures, spirit is standing in the photographs. Okay? These are the victims. And where they are standing, they are buried by the serial killer. And that's another part of my gift. And I sent you a photograph of girls dressed in white. Okay? And that's what the serial killer would do. His mother would not let him play with dolls. And she used to make all these pretty dresses for dolls. She wanted him to be masculine. Of course, he wasn't. Okay? He didn't fit the typical masculine boy. He was more feminine. And so he wanted to play with pretty dolls. And so he got punished for not playing with the pretty dolls, um, for playing with them. And so later on in life, he would dress his victims up, little girls that
Hmm.
from other parents, in white dresses before he would just destroy them.
Wow.
And I identified what color dresses they would have been wearing. I I took pictures, and here are all these girls dressed in white standing there in the photos through
Wow.
the property.
It's have you a person with your kind of gift usually find you get a lot of invitations to be in movies and what have you. Have you ever been invited to be a part of a movie
Yeah,
that deals with psychic phenomena?
yes, I got asked by Anthony Rogers of the Anthony Rogers radio show. We became friends. Him and his wife and another good friend, and they produced a movie called A Walk Through Hell, and it really was. I was invited to the Missouri State Pen, of which has since been closed down. It's now like a haunted location. But I went there, and when I go to a location, Dr. O, I'm going there to pull out all the good souls. I don't care if it's a crime scene, if it's a prison, if it's a plantation. I go there with one thing in mind, to find out what happened and to pull the good souls out and to bring them with me. And with that comes some really dark spirits, okay? Dark spirits can follow me back to where I was. Back to before the movie, back to the crime scene in Connecticut. I got followed by two people who were involved in the murders or knew of the murders. They stayed with me down at where I was living for 6 months. I had this I had this couple, this demonic couple, stay with me in my apartment to the point where I reached out to another friend of mine and I said, and you could feel them in the apartment. They were screaming in my ear. I got them on video. I got them on video, and I got them in photos. And they're like, "Help cross us, Mary. Help cross us." I didn't know at first that they were part of the crime scene, and then I put two and two together because they gave me names, and I ran it by the girl whose family was missing, and she recognized the names as being part of the crime scene. And so I'm like, look, I said, you followed me here. You want me to cross me? You have got to go back to that crime scene and make amends to all of your victims because you had something to do with this. You were either a part of it or you knew about it and you did nothing to stop it. So your penance until you make amends with all of them is to walk those grounds. And if you decide to come back to me, I will call the demons that are waiting there for you to come get you. Until you make amends, that is your penance to walk this earth. And they were gone. Boom, gone.
Hmm.
Gone. They have not since returned. And I said, if you can make amends to every one of the victims that you hurt or you murdered, then, and maybe then, I will think about crossing you. But if you show back up And I have a picture. I sent you the picture of the demons waiting there for them. Okay, they're waiting for their souls. And I told them, I said, if you show back up here, if you harm anybody I know or come back to me, I will call in those demons to get your souls. Boom, they were gone.
Hmm.
Never again. Now back to filming in Missouri State Pen. Oh yeah, I had them follow me back to the Airbnb where I was staying, and I'm like, I got them on video. Did you? And they were inmates. Did you follow me from the prison? And a spirit goes, yeah, I did. I said, you're going back to that prison, and he had to go back.
Hmm. This
On
is well. Let me ask you this then. When somebody says they have such powers, um, some people are skeptical, right? So sometimes I imagine it does affect your personal life when you have a. How did that affect your dating and that sort of? I'm just curious about such a thing.
I've been married twice, and both
So it didn't affect it.
yeah, I've been married twice, and they're like, it's your gift or me, and I'm like, see ya, because I was born with this. I can't help this gift. I hid it for so long when so many people needed help, and I can't hide it anymore.
Mhm. And you hid it. Why did you hide it? Why did you hide it?
Because I figured they would lock me up. They would, my family would disown me. Where I grew up, they don't understand that. That's a very religious community where I grew up. But what they and is I use my gift to help.
Hmm.
Given gift. I walk in white light. No dark. I do not allow darkness in my world, and I use it to help people and
Hmm.
living as well as the dead, and to bring closure.
To solve problems, because a lot of times think people think it's easy. Not all people, I'm sure, but people think it's easy that somebody passes away, right, and that's it. They don't understand what we pretty much understand is the life we know,
Right,
not the life we don't know. And there are some cultures. My culture, for instance, I'm a Nigerian, and we believe in reincarnation. We don't believe that life ends once the person passes away. We believe that you have 7 opportunities. Now, remember, that's culture. 7 opportunities to get it right. So the people do come back. But all those things. So for those who don't understand, who don't believe, it tend to sound weird to them, right? And then they don't want to hear it. All I know is what I know, and what I know is what I know, what I see. So people don't use that sixth sense, so to speak. Now
right,
let me ask you, um, when you consult, you do a lot of consulting work. You
right.
know, when people approach you, what is the first thing they, for the most part, ask you to do for them?
They want readings. When people contact me, I need a reading. Is my brother okay? Or can you tell me what's going to happen? You know, my pet peeve is when they contact me and want winning lottery numbers. Not, I don't even have that's God, and I'm sorry, it's not okay. I can't give out winning lottery numbers, but mainly, my calling in life is for, I believe, to rescue souls. I've gone in and pulled out suicide victims on the other side in the gray area, and that's not safe for a soul like mine. And I have rescued souls from crime scenes. And I believe being someone who rescues souls and someone who can say, this is what happened for murders, cold case crimes, that's my calling. Readings, are on the side because so many people suffer loss and they need that help.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I want to say to my audience, if any one of you has a question that you have for Mary, please ask it now, and she'll be more than happy to answer it for you. And what are your thoughts about the fact that most people doubt the psychic phenomenon? Why do you think that's
Uh,
the case? science in particular.
Right, because it's something they don't understand. They can't prove it until I can literally offer you proof, you know? It's like well, we'll believe it when we see it. And boom, it happens.
Mhm.
Your aunt, right? Correct? Your great aunt that had the gift. I think you have a gift. For sure. Um, I, I, I saw things about your family, you know? Um,
Yeah, that was shocking. You don't know my family, and you were telling me things. I was like, what? How
yeah.
did you know that? You don't know me.
And so far away too, where they live. Yeah. I
Yeah.
all the way across the world, Indonesia, Scotland, England, Australia. I've given readings all over the world, sight unseen, not even knowing anything about anybody I'm giving readings to. I'm not one of those people that ask questions. I tell what I
Yeah, because I certainly didn't ask you.
know.
You
You did.
just told me what I was like, what? Even my daughter said you had talked to her about certain things that, I certainly didn't expect for you to know, and she didn't expect for you to know. So that's very, very fascinating. Do you know of individuals that you can actually say that these people are not legitimate, sidekicks and probably just use it for money making?
Well, look at TV.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Look at some of the people on TV.
Yeah.
One who is real, 100% real, is Amy Allen. Okay.
Hmm.
I know her.
Hmm.
Very nice lady. She passes my photos around. She's on that show Dead File. She passes my photos around because no one has seen a gift like mine. It's
Mm.
who could ever believe that someone could take photos in the daytime of dead people standing there?
Hmm.
And so, but for the most part, the ones that made it big, yeah,
Yeah. So it's like everything. Let's be honest. It's like everything. There are people who use things for good, and there are some people who use it for their own personal gain. And sometimes those who use it for personal gain, they give the game a bad name. They give the phenomenon a bad name. So I do understand that. I do appreciate that. And I've read some of what you've done already, and some of the cases, cold cases you've solved, and these are real stories. These
yeah,
are real, cases. So they're not anything you're sitting here formulating. People can actually go and find out. I just want to do a little plug here. If anybody wants to know a little bit more about you, they should visit Brooke at blackorchid.pr@gmail.com, or Orchid rather, PR@gmail.com. Let me ask you this now. When you've come and you're on this show, and I appreciate you being here. Fascinating stories you've told, fascinating things. And I personally know, like when I started the program, I know people in my family who have those, like I'll share this with you. I'm not by any means professing that I have such a thing, but I was named after my aunt. Okay.
right.
I was named after my aunt. When she passed away, I never met her. Never met her. But when I was about 5 years old, I took my family, my parents, to where she had buried her jewelry.
Oh, wow.
Some things that belonged to her. I don't know this auntie. I was named after her, but I told them exactly where she lived and where she buried her jewelry.
Oh,
That sort of thing. So I do know that such things do happen. What you call it, I don't know. At that age, I don't know what you call that, but I certainly experienced that, and I've had individuals, and even in some cultures, uh,
uh-huh.
such people who have such skills. They help those who are ill. They help people who are, who have certain needs,
Yeah.
and those things are real to them.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
things are real to those who are getting such help.
Right.
So even the skeptics sometimes, again, we're skeptical about what we don't understand. What you don't know, but you don't want to admit you don't know.
Right.
So somebody who knows what they know, you want to ridicule. So I think it's just fantastic what you've shared here. At least for me, I've learned quite a bit. I've learned a lot, and I hope that the audience have done so as well. But I want to ask you, as a consultant, as a psychic consultant, what do you want people to know about you? When you leave here today, what do you want them to know about Mary?
There are people out there in the world that have unique gifts. And, just because they don't understand something is no reason to poo poo someone else. Keep an open mind. And I want them to know that I do this out of the kindness of my heart. Okay. I'm not in it for fame or fortune. um, I was given a gift to help, and I have to use it to be able to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we think our loved ones go and sit and sing in a choir all day. I'm sorry, that's not true. They've got jobs to do on the side. Okay, so if you're sitting there missing them, all you got to do is turn around. 'Cause they
So some people don't understand that the physical is
right.
gone, but the spiritual remains. Sometimes it lingers, trying to figure out where to go next.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
when we pour libations. For example, are you familiar with libations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when people pour libations, they call out the spirits
Oh
of
yeah.
the departed, because there's a belief that spirit, those spirits are still around, and you can actually speak to them. There are individuals, when they lose a mother or a father or whomsoever, they have a little shrine where they call out their names, where they talk to them. It's
Huh.
it's spiritually healthy to remain connected,
Yeah,
and not feel that separation is severed. Would you agree? Would you agree?
I do, because my identical twin sister died almost 20 years ago, and she's still with me. She
Mhm.
gave her grave site when I couldn't find it, and I was lost in this massive cemetery in Rome, Italy, called Prima Porta, and she's sitting there in directions, and I ended up right at her grave site.
Now it says something. When I played that video, it showed that her children inherited her skills. How are they expressing that?
Oh, Cristiano is psychic. Can look at, like, I test him all the time, like, what do you see with her? you know and he'll tell me what he sees, and it's usually spot on, like, my gift. And so I'm working on helping to refine that with him. uh, as a medium, just like me, and she's scared of it.
Is there any advice that you give individuals who may feel that they have such a thing? Because there are some individuals who have that skill, but they hide it. They're afraid of what society may say. That was you. That was you. And
Now,
so, what advice would you give such people?
you were given a gift. Get off your duff and use it, because God gave you this gift. God gives you one true gift. If you do not use it, you will become second best at something else,
Hmm.
as good as you could have been had you used your true gift.
That's wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, if you want to contact Mary Johnson, please reach out at blackorchidpr@gmail.com, or brooke.blackorchidpr@gmail.com. She is a phenomenal woman. And I'm telling you, sometimes you have to put aside your skepticism and look beyond what you do know, because what you know may be more limited than you think. You see, there's a big world out here. That we have the physical world, and then there's the spiritual world. That spiritual world is what we don't understand. And quite frankly, all cultures put together their own packages of their understanding of the spiritual world. You understand? Because that's how you're able to understand your world. So if you know somebody who can help you, you have some challenges that you need some help. Mary Mary Johnson is willing to help, and we appreciate that. You know, I'm telling you right now, I may be calling you. Okay, I'm not a skeptic. I want you to understand that I'm not a skeptic. I want to understand my world. I don't know everything, but some things I know, some things I don't. And if I know somebody who knows more than I do, I'll go after them with all of my capacity. So here I come. Don't you drop your phone. Don't you switch off your phone, because here comes Dr. Simri. I may be calling you. And let me just ask everyone, if you can get it, if you want to know a little bit more about the Ndumodu Show, you can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me on Instagram, the Power Speaker. My website, www.drosimri.com. Also, Twitter at Owa Osimiri, TikTok at Owa Osimiri. I enjoy listening to people. I enjoy hearing from you. And Mary will as well. I've got it scrolling how you can get in touch with her. Get in touch with her. She may just answer some questions that you have. And that's what life is about. When you find people who can reach out to you, or you can reach out to, do it. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Don't let anybody shoot on you. In other words, don't let anybody tell you what is or what isn't. You find out yourself. That's what it's all about, right? Right, Mary? Find out. That's right. Hey, I'm waiting, and we've got a few minutes. Anyone who has any questions for Mary, please do not hesitate to ask. She's here. She's going to answer your questions. Just shoot us a question at this moment. But are there any other what shall I say? Any other cases that you know that you may be working on soon, that you're just kind of pausing until you know a little bit more about it?
Yeah, there's quite a few more. And if everybody goes, like, I'm on YouTube, Medium, and then also yeah, that's YouTube, Mary. I had to think, because I'm not very good at the social media thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the cold cases, I have Spirit that talked into my phone that said who killed JFK, who killed Marilyn Monroe, blah blah blah. But the actual cases that are now happening that they have not been able to solve, I have to work one at a time, because otherwise, I don't want to get interference from one spirit to the next, So, but
yes,
there are other cases.
Okay. Well, I don't see any questions at this time. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you can reach her. It's scrolling on my screen. Black Orchid at gmail, pr@gmail.com, or brooke.blackorchid@gmail.com. Reach out to her. Mary is prepared and willing and able. Thank you so very much, Mary. Hey, we've got a part 2. There's a whole lot more about you that they don't know. So we have a part 2. And you're going to talk to us about being a chef to the rich.
Yeah.
Wow. That I want to hear. That sounds exciting. And I'm sure my audience will be more than delighted to hear a little bit more about that. And that will be next week. So you'll be coming back to join us. Thank you so very much. And thank you, audience, those of you who joined on Facebook page, Owa Osimiri, or Dr. Osimiri, or Twitter. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again. Mary, you have a wonderful day. Have a good day. Okay. Bye-bye now.
Emily.